Hello, everybody. It's your old friends and nerds of Russ, and welcome back to the Best of All Worlds podcast, TV show, whatever one you want to call it. We're into our fourth episode, Mr. Jerry Soul.
We are indeed, yes.
We
Very
have been on.
excited for this one.
We are indeed. So, like I said, we've been on a bit of a binge, as it were, an indulgence, if you will, of season one Enterprise. I don't know what the collective noun for season one Enterprise is. I'm presuming it's a Tasha. It's a Tasha of season one episodes.
Just to correct you, Jonathan, it's not Enterprise, Next Generation.
Next Generation, yeah. Sorry, I just keep having Enterprise on the brain. It's just like I don't know what's inspiring me thinking that Enterprise is there watching me, but however,
there's so many Enterprises behind you there.
There is, and they're all very, very pretty. They're all very pretty. But no, in fairness, we have done a couple of next gen episodes, and we are doing our last one for the time being tonight, which is conspiracy. I'm not gonna lie, if we had done guilty pleasures, this would be top of my list. I'm a big fan of this episode. I don't know what your feelings are on it, in terms of liking or loving it.
I remember when I first seen it, and it was a bit. I was a lot younger then, obviously, and I was a bit freaked out by it.
Yeah,
especially seeing the unedited version, because a lot of when it's on TV, it kind of gets edited out. So when I originally saw the unedited version, I was like, "What the fuck?"
It's one of the few episodes of Star Trek to be banned. Because of that. Because of that,
that had to be heavily edited to be able to allow it to be on before the watershed.
Yes,
because it was that bad. Like, which was for a season one episode, you're like, wow.
Just for Star Trek, full stop. Like you don't get that at all, and you haven't got it since, really. I mean, they come close to it in some aspects, especially with like the new Trek having the better age brackets, because they can now say words like "fuck" now and "shit."
You know, and sheer fucking hubris.
Sheer fucking hubris. Anyway, she's gone. Anyway, but we are going to hit on the conspiracy tonight, and we will tell you later on in the show why we're sticking with conspiracies for the next few episodes. More on that as we get it, because we had a little scheming plan before this recording. So we'll be able to whet your appetites for the next couple of shows coming up. But before then, we do have to get to the original conspiracy, if you will. So, Jerry, are you ready to rock on your side?
I'm ready to rock.
All right, then. Let's get into it. On 3, 2, 1, engage. So, I suppose it's important to remember that actually this is the first proper sequel episode of The Next Generation, because there was an episode before this, I think it was Coming of Age, where it's the one where Wesley Crusher goes and does the Academy test. Yeah. But the B story of that episode is Commander Remick, I think it is, comes up onto the show and basically interrogates the crew about certain things. Admiral Quinn is there as well. And it turns out the reason that there's ruling like Picard in particular is because they wanted to see if he was legit, if he was the real Picard. Yeah. Because they think there's something brewing at Starfleet. And then a couple of episodes later, this one shows up.
Yeah.
Don't you love it how that is somehow funnier than the joke that Geordi was telling?
Yeah.
I love that Riker just suddenly went erection. There's a lot of that in season 1. There must be a very distinctive musk on Klingon ships. Oh, for fuck's sake. Do you think Picard is a bit of a diva when it comes to sleep? I imagine he has to lock in his like 5 hours of sleep each night.
Oh, absolutely. He'd be pissed off no end, like.
He'd be sulking all day. It is nice of just having
the smallest like bottle of water type thing there, like fuck off, like.
I was about to say,
just use the goddamn replicator. There we go.
Oh my god, another man with 4 pips. Who the fuck is that? Remember when Picard had mates and they all died? I do like that he's kind of like saying that with like Starfleet in the background, as if he's like hiding in like a utility room.
Yeah.
47. I have to know what all this is about. Not over some space. No. For God's sake, Walker. This is a secure channel. No. On Titanic's B.
Titanic's B, that's a cream, isn't it?
Where? Immediately. We expected the Pacific. And wait. You owe me.
I see that he's gone to the Robert Rooney School of Crazy Eyes. You will not have this day.
Don't take anything for granted. Walker. You'll be waiting.
I do love that any character that comes in with the 4 pips automatically has an air of authority, just as part of their character. It's like, look at this motherfucker, rocking it.
I just want to point out though that straight away the music, spot on.
Yeah,
spot
just
on.
an air of ill intent,
Mm.
just to get you in the moods, you know.
I do love this intro, I have to say, I really do.
Yeah, I kind of miss it myself. Although I do love the Nebula one now, where you just kind of like blow through it, like it's nicer.
Oh, look at that fucking
Oh,
ship.
This is the part of the show where we all just gush over. Oh,
Mhm.
Is that nice? Yes, my pretty. No Klingons can hurt you now. It's fine.
I think this is the very first time I'm going to be able to say this, Jonathan, but the one I have upstairs is bigger.
In fairness, it's like the one time in the Star Trek pod that actually is okay to say that.
I've like because I'm changing around the room here.
Yeah.
So I'm going to be putting shelves and stuff on, and I've all these ships up in the attic, and I'm like, they're just going to waste just sitting there. So it's like they come with these lovely stands that are in the shape of the communicator.
Oh,
and
yes.
Like, I think I'm just going to put them on the stands and put them all around the room.
Yeah. You should have them like flying around like a little mobile.
I did when I was a kid. I had them hanging from the ceiling with fishing wire.
Yeah.
And like the Enterprise was attacking the Klingons, and the Romulans were attacking a Vorcha class. I'm like, yeah. I would do that now, but I'd be like, no, I'm not that much of a fucking nerd.
Yes, and I'm an adult now. It kind of goes, yeah, I'm on that ship.
I just do that with computer games now.
Yeah, exactly. It's much more mature, much more understanding.
Here we go.
One thing I just noticed there in those titles that they still have Tasha Yar credited. It's like she's dead a few weeks, lads. You know, just
no, fuck off.
Fair to say, the only person happy about this is Worf.
He thinks, torpedoes.
A mining company. You know what this means.
God, Riker should never, ever, ever have been clean shaven.
No.
It's like me. I should never be clean shaven.
No, your face does look weird without the beard, man. Then again, I've only known you with the beard.
I look like a boiled potato.
You do, yeah. I'm glad someone said it.
Arsehole. Sorry. I love those chairs.
Yeah,
they're part of the console. I think let's just pull the chair out.
Yeah, that's the thing. They look so ergonomic. It's great. I do kind of want Data to just go, no, it's a kip, sir. No one wants to go there. I do love how they just could not get rid of the fucking stage lights off the back panels. Just no matter what they tried.
What I've been trying to do lately when watching various episodes, I'm trying to see if I can find like the zip.
Yeah.
And I've seen it mostly in Deep Space Nine, and with the newer kind of first contact uniform.
Oh yes.
You catch it a lot, especially with Cisco. You catch it a lot with Cisco.
Well, Cisco, like I think Avery Brooks just hates those uniforms so much he like barely wear them.
Yeah.
He saw like Patrick Stewart wearing the velour jacket and went, "Where's my jacket? I want a jacket. Give me a jacket. Give me a fucking jacket."
Now this said heavy cruiser Horatio, so
yes, Horatio actually is an ambassador class. It's an Enterprise C.
I'm assuming we don't see it here.
We don't actually know. Only mentioned. It's only actually mentioned in Memory Beta that it's an ambassador class. Actually, no, I think they say it's an ambassador class here.
Ooh.
Again,
it was a bit aggressive there, wasn't it?
I do. Yeah, it does say a lot about, like, say, the word of Walker Keel, rather, that like Picard is literally like, you know, getting tensed up just because he says shit's kicking off, you know.
Yeah.
Oh,
This is a nice stage. In fairness,
good set. I like to say, yeah. It's hiding the monochrome sky, which I like. It's the most post-apocalyptic episode of Monday Night Raw they've ever done.
Wow.
Raw's War. Oh my god, a Bolian. We don't know who did them yet.
In fairness, ugliest fucking Bolian of all of Star Trek.
They're not, as a species, they're not great lookers. Oh, hang on. I have to get the lighting right the same as it. There we go. Yeah, perfect. Perfect.
The guy that's playing the Bolian there, he's in a lot of sci-fi.
He's actually he's the main villain in The Hills of Eyes.
That's right. He's in he's one or two episodes of X-Files as well, I believe.
Yes, he's in Revelations. The Revelations episode of X-Files.
My brother introduced me. You don't have a brother, two sisters, and a Melissa. What the hell was about?
It's like, do I know you? Maybe. Should we play Mr. and Mrs.? That's a traditional Bolian greeting, by the way. Michael Burnham spinning in her grave.
And Kirk.
And Kirk, yes. Curses, spoiled again.
We all came secretly to discuss the threat. What threat?
Have you noticed anything about Starfleet Command? Anything unusual?
No. They've been on the outer rim for a while. They haven't had much contact.
We've been visiting planets like the one that's really racist. We didn't like that one. It was probably health and safety, lads. They go mental.
And we fully expect price to be funded soon.
For what? Well, we're not sure yet. David Jordan, I tell you that some of Starfleet's top command people. This could affect the very core. Officers on for years.
They keep saying the phrase "you had to be there," and I just don't understand it. What does it mean, John Luke?
If you may not believe it, just a lot of vague talk about strange matters. Irrational.
It's almost like a conspiracy theory. Waiting till to find out the galaxy was flat all along.
Oh God.
My first officer hasn't been the same since we stopped off on Earth. Medical officer says he's perfectly normal, but I don't think I trust him either.
No, we don't have all the answers. All we to keep your eyes open.
That's sound advice at any time, Captain. Stay in touch with us. This meeting never took place as far as Starfleet is concerned.
It never happened. It's a total fabrication.
I got that reference.
Yes. As with anyone else who watches our That's a Lie series.
I'm glad, Sherlock. I'm glad you're still one of us. Tell Beverly I said hello.
Yes, for old friends, they certainly are, friends.
It's like crazy eye there again.
Mm-hmm.
Watch your back.
Again, just the air of ill intent for the entire first act there is great. Normal service resumes.
I need a fucking show off.
Violate regulations must be obeyed.
Career twist away.
Friendship must dare to risk consequences.
They illicitly use the emergency channel to draw you here. Then they ask you to keep secrets from your superiors. Effectively, disobey Starfleet regulations.
People involved in this.
Sorry, what rank are you again, Councillor Troy? What?
Don't you think you should tell the rest of the crew?
What was she at this point? Was it Lieutenant?
Yeah, Lieutenant, yeah.
Lieutenant.
The only person I've said so far is the fish. The one true confidant.
Take us out of orbit, Mr. LaForge. Aye, sir. Resume heading to Pacific of Warp Factor 8. Aye, sir. Warp 8. At that speed, we should arrive 9.63 hours behind the original schedule, sir. Very good. Data, I have an assignment for you once your towers.
Aegis was like, woo. Is this going to be like the Tasha Yar one? Woohoo.
This is Lieutenant Commander Data.
Why is there two syringes on the captain's desk?
Command orders to Starship.
We all know he's a heroin addict.
6 months.
That's a bit weird, isn't it?
I love how they reuse
Yeah, they
This-
loop them.
that loop so many times because there's always an
Yeah.
Excelsior, a Klingon symbol, a D7 battle cruiser, and a bird of prey.
Yeah.
Every fucking time.
Every single time.
Did you see Walter?
We won't get to it, but the episode of the Neutral Zone, apparently there's an Easter egg where there's a scene where like it goes through a family tree of one of the people from the past, and
Yeah.
half of them are like people from Doctor Who, as in like people from Doctor Who. It's like, oh, that's a nice little hat tip, and then they changed it in the HD version.
Hard to say at this distance, sir. I guess the trip to Pacifica will have to wait. Let's investigate. Maintain speed on the
For the 24th century, they really have to make the most out of their mahogany, don't they?
Oh, they love their mahogany. Probably replicated though.
Probably. I mean, it's very hard to get real mahogany out there. Probably recycled shit and everything.
Yeah. You look at 3D printers now, you say, is that like the starting of a replicator?
That's the start of it, yeah.
Kind of is, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Well, it's kind of making the matter into whatever model you want. So yeah, that's the close of it. Considering that, like at the moment, it's physically impossible to convert like energy into matter.
Yeah. Oh, here we go.
Mm-hmm.
Enlarge and identify. Looks like a space vessel of some kind. Could be one of those ships that was orbiting the italics. We are in close proximity to that planet.
Mm-hmm.
Identifying marks of sort. Nothing so far. Sensors not detecting any bodies in the flotsam. But from the amount of the wreckage. I'm sorry, sir. We can only read in Horatio.
I do look like I know it's meant to look like metal shards, but it just looks like paper floating in the gust.
Yeah.
It's like,
Like the debris that they used for Wolf 359 was so much better.
yes, very much so.
The apparent death of Walker Keyes had a powerful impact on me, and I believe there may be a cancer growing within the ranks of Starfleet. As a result, I have
When you look back on this, you say to yourself, this is insane.
Yeah.
This is insane that this is happening. Starfleet is supposed to be like better.
Yeah.
They're supposed to be better. And to be doing this, you're like, what the fuck? This is like Romulan. This is like Cardassian. That's what it's like.
Yeah. In a weird way, though, like, I mean, it's kind of still harping back to like the original series that had a rake load of like evil admiral or evil commander episodes, you know, but they're always like put down to like, oh, it's just them going rogue.
Yeah.
I love this. Look at him. Like, oh.
The fact that he has the little smiles in the first episode, like Data doesn't really find himself to the second or third season because he doesn't smile. He has no emotion, where he's kind of shown little bits of emotion here. Like, no.
Yes. I don't know why, but I love to see this scene because the computer tells him to shut the fuck up.
Basically,
yeah.
How to tell Data to shut the fuck up without telling Data to shut the fuck up. I have to say, his contact lenses for the 80s were fantastic.
Yes.
And they weren't just the small ones. They were full eye.
They were big ones, yeah.
Full eye ones, and they're a bastard to put in.
Yeah. But it does make the character look a lot better though, in fairness. Like it adds a lot to it.
Fantastically.
Like I remember the episode where Worf jumps from parallel like universes.
Yeah.
And the only way you can tell some of them apart is that like, you know, Data's wearing the contact lenses sometimes and sometimes he isn't. And it's like, oh, that's a nice touch.
Yeah, I like that.
Why hasn't anyone discovered this before? The orders were given with great subtlety. To use an aphorism, Starfleet's left hand did not know what its right hand was doing.
I like that.
Yeah.
That was I believe this clandestine attempt to control the vital sectors of Federation territory.
Do you like Commander Riker's I'm concerned pose?
Like it's such an uncomfortable looking arms folded.
Yeah.
So uncomfortable.
Why not? Yes, why not? We're talking about a threat to the entire future of the Federation. I don't think getting this the best easy. Into the source. Personal log supplemental.
It's actually quite nice seeing them go back to Earth. I don't know why. It's just like, well, if they have to go out to Earth, you know it's serious shit.
Oh, the very rarely. Oh, look at two of them.
Two of them, yeah. Holy shit!
Earth.
Back when Gene Roddenberry still had the horn.
No need for blue pills then.
Nope. Now when you have multiple wives.
What?
Apparently so, yeah.
Really?
I think so, yeah. See, that was libel.
I find it hard enough having fucking one, don't mind multiple. Fuck that.
It says, go away. We're evil.
We're busy, lads. Go up, look.
Greetings, Enterprise. I am Admiral Sabah. This is Admiral. I believe you already know Admiral.
I was in a previous episode.
See you again, Admiral. And you, Captain. Of course, we are always delighted when the Enterprise. Sir, I can imagine that you would. A little plane of Pacifica informs us that you'll cancel your schedule.
Pacifica does sound like a nice place, doesn't it?
It does. Paradise, like.
Yeah.
I would rather discuss that in person.
Boo. Get
That
him
was
out.
right.
No, boo. Act perfectly normal.
He just said himself.
Seems legit.
Hard to say.
I must say, I'm not overjoyed she's laughing again. That is possible. I don't like it.
Let me fire torpedoes.
I agree. I'm here. Do you find it strange those three admirals keep finishing each other's sentences?
Admiral Quinn isn't saying much, in fairness.
Admiral's just chilling. He's vibing.
I have to say, this was my least favorite Admiral's uniform.
Yeah, it's very what's I don't want to say tacky. It's just like it's kind of like it's like they had to improvise an Admiral's uniform.
Yeah.
You know.
Like my favorite would be the first contact style with the belt. I like that. I really like that.
I don't know why, but I actually quite like the not all of the costumes from the motion picture, but the actual Admiral one, where it's like the bleach white. It looks stand out so much more compared to the rest of the rank style.
Oh, you now listen to that music, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's very Emperor's Throne Room.
Yes.
Esque.
Now I was never sure about this these creatures. I thought they were the same ones from the Wrath of Khan, but they're not. They just behave the same. They just enter the body the same way.
Energize, Mr. Remick.
Look, he's so proud to be carrying that thing. He's like, I have to say the music, the score production so far has been brilliant.
Been the best so far.
Yeah.
When you were here last, you would say that you were tired of life I was, but not anymore.
I've gone vegan.
Not vegan.
I don't know as well because like he's an admiral, they more or less have to play nice. So even if they think he's evil, they have to go, well, how about you have a guided tour of the ship? Maybe you can take the helm for a while. I don't know.
Yeah.
Fucking do whatever you want, son.
So Admiral, how's the prostate?
Remember the time when you questioned my entire crew about my integrity? Yeah. What the fuck?
Yeah. Clearly had a fucked up prostate then, didn't you, prick?
You're just gonna pretend that was nothing? You're gonna just no, we're just gonna breeze past that. Fair enough. Okay.
I find the Admiral's pips.
Yeah.
I don't like them.
No.
The future ones where it's like the captain, but except it's in like a rectangle.
It's
much
rectangle,
nicer.
yeah.
Much nicer.
It's like it's enclosed, yeah. Like I said, it does feel like more like a slapdash kind of like attempt at an Admiral's suit. Like I would have actually rather them keep the old school ones, you know, the ones from the movies.
Yeah.
because then that means they say, well, they're still wearing their uniforms because they're admirals and they're older, whereas these guys now have the new jumpsuits, you know?
Yeah.
Look at the legs in that fucking crewman, fucking hell. There was so many extras that said, like, bring me the extras with the best legs and put him in dresses.
Yeah.
I'm certain, number one. Stay close. Keep your eyes everywhere. Examination. I'll just do it. You're admiral. It's not him, Will. I know that now. My eyes, how this is happening. Captain, do it right. I'm right. You leave me down there alone, unarmed? I'll take care. Find out what you're gathering. Begin calls if necessary. Energize.
Oh, there's some Tellarites there in the bottom. Look. Oh, that's cool.
Oh.
I didn't know that now. Let's all act normal. We are humans.
I'm sure he will. You met Commander Reneker under less than ideal circumstances. It's nice to see you again.
Get the fuck out of my face.
Prepared a special. Very quietly. However, so quiet the last time I was here.
Oh, we killed everyone. Yep, they're all dead. We are the last Starfleet. Even as a
Fucking
Vulcan, he is
Vulcans,
very
yeah.
wooden. Yeah. I love the special Admiral's desk he gets and everything. The fucking glass. Oh.
Yeah.
Actually, I've ordered for Dr. Crusher. But perhaps you would like to see it first. What is it? A form of life. It was discovered accidentally by a survey team. Planet. What haven't we heard anything about? We'll be hearing about it shortly.
It came from some section 37 or something. I can't remember.
It is a superior form of life. Superior. Totally. Come, have a look. I think I'll summon my science officer.
You don't have a science officer.
It does like you. Vitamins. It wonders the body.
Oh, wow. You can see the stunt actor there.
Yeah,
Fuck.
that was terrible.
Oh. Oh, that was bad as well.
Yeah.
Jeez, that was an air kick if I've ever seen one. Vault over. Go on. Woo!
Lots of amount of kicks. Oh, that was terrible as well.
Yeah. Oh. This fight scene was not as good as I remembered.
No.
There again. Oh, that's why it's fucking from one of the movies. There's two lads in the old fucking.
While we wait for your writer, tell us about what's going to be. I see you keep up with our duty roster. Very important.
Jeez, lads, how strong is the fucking tea?
The smallest little thimbleful, like.
Oh, I like that.
Mm.
I like the fact that like Picard, like thinking that there's something going on, didn't drink the tea.
Mm.
Enjoy it.
I like that. It was just a subtlety of that, you know.
Yeah.
Oh, here comes security. Geordi and Worf.
Geordie's not fucking security.
Listen.
Don't you think we should wait till the doctor gets here?
Boom.
Love that.
There we go. Come on, Worf. Come on. Yeah, so just put his head back down here in the glass.
I don't give a shit. You challenge me to combat.
Come on, Worf, baby. Go on.
Double axes. Where's the stunts? The stunt doubles.
The Klingons fear death as much as humans. I could snap your neck in a second, but it wouldn't be as much fun.
He goes over the table as well. Yeah, actually, when he hits the floor,
Yeah.
you see the replicator move.
They don't make those Admirals quarters like they used to, eh?
No. Now, what I want to know is, why did she come armed?
I don't know. I presume they have just those little the hand pistols just like on the person if they need them.
I don't know.
Or maybe she's been there and she was there the whole time and went like shit, where's my phaser? Where's my phaser? Where's my phaser? Let me check my bag.
Retinal scans are an exact match. Really screwed.
How can that be? The man picked him like a rag doll.
Well, he picked my stunt double up like a rag doll. I do love the operation screen.
Yeah.
See, if I press this button,
Oh, there we go.
looks delicious.
Nom, nom.
No conspiracies yet. Not merely an office, but
That was a good joke. It reminds me of one of my favorite one-liners I've heard. I think it's from Yes Minister. One guy goes to another one going, so can you tell me anything? Well, oh yeah, how did the meeting on the Freedom of Information go? I'm sorry, I can't talk about that. Remington's gonna skull both of them back now.
And the rest of the bottle.
Yeah.
Dr. Crusher here, Captain. May I speak freely?
Well, no one else can hear this.
I suppose I have little choice. Where's Riker?
A City being is taking Grin's body. It has complete control over all brain functions. It seems to breathe through a small tube protruding from the back of Grin's neck. Look at these things. I believe it will be visible on anyone who has been compromised.
Have you what it is like?
Negative. I've never seen anything like it before.
Situation is under.
Oh,
It's okay.
I wanted to get my revenge.
He wants to fire torpedoes, buddy. Come on.
It's not that he just wants to wait until Quinn wakes up. He can just go.
Fuck you, motherfucker.
Never mind the details.
I don't think so. Not without killing the patient. Captain, you must set your face for on kill. Stun has little effect.
Not to stop. Quarters. Your food is getting cold, Captain. Tell Commander Riker to join me as soon as he's ready.
And bring as many weapons as possible.
All of the weapons.
Hmm. I love the way it cuts away just that second.
So you'd think he's been compromised.
Yes. I like that they're having a socially distant dinner.
Yeah.
It's nice. They were ahead of the time.
Go ahead and start, Captain. We don't stand on ceremony here.
Ah, tube grubs.
Brilliant. Love it. It's just the way. It's just the way it was like the. It could have been anything in the pots, and then it's just like, oh god, that's so much worse than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
Oh, the sound of them even eating the grubs is like, oh.
Yeah.
They ain't got any chopsticks, no? Hey, there he is. Oh, he's playing along.
You were meant for the doctor. Couldn't be helped. Riker walked in on us unexpectedly.
Yeah, close enough.
The doctor will be joining us soon. Well, it's got good. Now this
Well. Oh, the betrayal. No wonder she's the youngest captain in Starfleet history.
Exactly.
We didn't go at it. We allowed you to come. More than I think that way, don't you think?
The one thing both races share is a love of theater, and you put on a fine show.
What race are you? Where are you from? It's not important. Let us just say we've come a long way.
It's a perfect match. You're the brains. You're the bra.
You'll understand soon, Picard.
I'm speaking in generalizations. I'm trying to fit in.
Careful not to arouse.
They're like, lovely noodles.
Delicious. I love it. I don't. Well, I don't know if it was a stage direction or it's just Jonathan Frakes being good at what he does. But his whole body language is different when he's like this, as opposed to being just Riker, because then it has to like enough for us to be thrown off.
Yeah. Yeah, Nicky bastard.
Boom, headshot. Oh, stop motion, love it. I like to think because like the parasites are taking over, the neck pinch wasn't as effective.
Yeah.
Let him go.
Get him.
Get him. Oh, look at the sidestep. Love it. Oh, right in front of the toilets and everything. I don't know what.
It's so bad.
I love stop motion, man. It's so fucking funny.
I like good stop motion. That was bad
Yes.
stop motion. Come on. Oh, here we go. This is
the best part.
This is the bit.
To be fair, there's nothing more cathartic than this scene, isn't there?
Mhm.
Perhaps if you tell me what it is.
Shibby. It's so fucking good.
It's so bad, man.
And now it's like a little biscuit he's eating.
Yeah.
Now that is a good effect.
Yeah.
coexistence.
Ah, fuck that. There you go. Woo!
Like even that, you're like, fucking hell, like.
Yeah.
Like, how disgusted does Picard look like?
In fairness, yeah, this is like, the fucking hell.
Yeah.
Like, not because like it's the like the in the like that shot of the fucking like husk of a body, but it was the like chestburster itself, like.
Yeah.
Respect life to be forced to destroy it, but there seems to be no alternative. Admiral Quinn is expected to make a full recovery. There is no trace of the parasite which took control of it. These life forms infiltrate the Stargate, but it seems they could not survive.
Wasn't it handy in the end where like it didn't turn out you didn't have to kill the host to get rid of the parasite? He just died away.
Mm.
We had to make sure that the fool everyone knew that it did number one question. I had attempted to trace the message Remick was sending. I believe it was aimed at an unexplored sector of our galaxy.
Any idea what the message was, Dave?
I believe it was a beacon. A beacon. Yes, sir. A homing beacon.
Oh my god! Look at that sense of foreshadowing. Does it ever pay off?
No.
No. No, it doesn't. Welcome to season 1's Next Generation, ladies and gentlemen, where we just drop plot points like it's hot fucking shit.
That little
And
bit
Jerry,
at the end, though. That's
Yeah.
that.
Now, Jerry, I do have a bit of a bombshell to throw into you to finish off this episode, right? So,
Okay.
the reason why there's such a sense of foreboding to this episode, do you not find it strange how like you had this plot point of, you know, the parasites invading Starfleet and so forth, and then in like season 2 we had the Borg arriving as the next big threat to Star Trek, to Starfleet.
Right.
So supposedly the original plan was for this and the Borg to be together.
Okay.
To be one.
Ooh.
So I think the idea was that initially the Borg were meant to be those creatures, essentially. But obviously we have the more like the actual technical, the actual like the chimera part of it, where like a man and machine wasn't the initial plan. The initial plan was for them to be these kind of like bug-like creatures. I suppose that's kind of where the Borg kind of name comes out from. But then again, you'd argue it's like, you know, bionic and organic, whichever way you want to look at it. But yeah, supposedly that's what the initial draft of the Borg looked like, was to be those creatures, and would be essentially like how the changelings would end up being in Deep Space Nine. They'd be essentially body snatchers, and that would be kind of like a subplot then for season 2. So that's why they had that kind of launching off point, because the idea would be then you had this episode Conspiracy, where, you know, like Starfleet itself has been attacked, but then you also had then the Neutral Zone episode where the Romulans are also seeing there's a bigger threat out there. So the idea was that in season 2 the two would be revealed to be the same, and it would end up being what we would now know the Borg. But obviously there's a few redrafts since. Yeah.
Well, that's obviously why we never got to see any more of this about that signal, because obviously the signal would be them contacting the Borg to come and help them.
Exactly. Yeah. That'd be the idea. Yeah.
I kind of said to me, now that you've said that, it's actually slightly disappointing that they weren't tied together.
Yeah. Like it would make
slightly.
sense, wouldn't it? Like it would make sense to have the connection there, but it just never happened, unfortunately. It was a total fabrication. No, in fairness, it was just something they just dropped at the end, which is a bit of a shame. But yeah, it was a pity in the end, unfortunately. But yeah, so obviously we have a few little extra segments before we get into our review. We have no shipyards this time around because we have no ships on screen. But I can tell you, the 3 ships that were involved, right? So we said about the USS Horatio that Walker Keel was commanding. That is an ambassador class. So we'll be seeing that at some stage in our adventures. We'll give our opinions then. The other 2 ships that the two other captains, Ricks and Scott, were commanding. So Captain Scott commands the Renegade, the USS Renegade, and I believe Ricks then is. I'll just try and find him here. Very
unusual name for a Starfleet ship.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah. So okay, I have it here now. So Captain Scott commands the USS Renegade, and the and Captain Ricks commands the Thomas Paine. So both of them are what's called New Orleans class ships.
Ah, a nice little ship.
Yes, so we classify probably as light cruisers. They're again miniature galaxy ships with like a big fuck-off cannon on the bottom of them. Very much a memory beta class of ship in that sense. A lot of they appear a lot in the novels, like the I think we had the Wambundu class last episode. So that's
right, which are kind of similar. They were kind of similar. Mm-hmm. The New Orleans, I believe, is actually in Star Trek Online. I'm not 100% about that, but effectively it's got the saucer, deflector dish, and nacelles of a galaxy, but everything else is different. And I believe has it got like two pods on the top of it as well?
It's kind of it's kind of got like I suppose the best way of looking at it is like it is like as you said there, it has two kind of like pods at the top of the saucer. And that kind of like serves as a kind of, not necessarily the connection of it, but that's the sort of like the idea of it, And as you said, I think the ship that's always used as a New Orleans example is the Kyushu, and the way that kind of looks is at least kind of like Eagle Moss made a model of it, and it would look like very kind of like narrow, almost like ambassador like nacelles. I find like the new nacelles, but the actual like the shape of them are very squared off. And then you don't have as big a secondary hull. The saucer is the same, and then you have those like three different like basically like extra. I don't want to call them the cells, but they're kind of like I think that they're torpedo launchers, as far as I know. So I suppose it's a more attack oriented galaxy ship. I suppose you want to put it that way.
I'd imagine because it's classified as a light cruiser, probably does patrol duty, border patrol as well. I would imagine. I think they may have had one in. I'm probably wrong by this, but they may have had one in. Is it Emissary? You know, when the Borg right at the start of Emissary, you've got a couple of Starfleet ships. I might be wrong by that. That could be actually, that's an Ambassador class.
I think that was Ambassador. Yeah, Ambassador I don't think they actually had the New Orleans. It actually the New Orleans is there. It's actually in Best of Both Worlds. It's part of the wreckage of both. So it is actually in the battle. You're right, but it's only in the wreckage of like the Next Generation side as opposed to because the model was made and it just was never used, which is a shame because it's a low-key quite nice ship, to be honest. It's a real really nippy. You know, it's a tight looking ship all the same.
It's a nice you look at like the size of a Galaxy class and you say to yourselves, right, well, Galaxy class are probably quite expensive to build, and obviously not in Latinum terms in terms of materials. Whereas this is a smaller version of a Galaxy. Obviously, it doesn't have the same armament as a Galaxy, but it does have fairly formidable weapons because of the three pods that are on it.
Yeah,
so you say to yourself,
you opt in to make them either sensory pods or you can make them like torpedo launchers, which is pretty fucking radical, to be fair.
Yeah, well, when you look at the Akira class is one of my favorite ships, and that has a massive torpedo pod that has multiple launchers in it, so that's why it makes it one of the more dangerous Starfleet ships. But I'm sure we'll see them eventually.
We will see them in our adventure at some point, I'm sure. Like I said, they're very light on budget on ships in the budgets in this level of Star Trek. So we'll get to someone in future episodes. But what it wasn't light on in this episode, Jerry, was special guests and guest stars. We had a lot of them this week. So I will again with our guests among the stars section, where I try and see if Jerry Soul could pick out some extra names from the list here. I'm going to go over the ones that are one and dones, of course. So the first one I'm going to talk about is Ursula Bryant, and she was playing Twyla Scott in this episode. So this is the only time she's appeared, I'm afraid. But she's been on various different shows as well. She was on the Nancy Drew Mysteries. She was in the comedy All the Marbles, which I believe is a wrestling movie, if I'm not mistaken. That's the one that has Fonz in it, where he tries to be a wrestler, if I'm not mistaken. She was also in Hot Pursuit, the 1987 movie, and a couple of Golden Girls episodes as well. Not much on Twyla Scott herself as a captain, to be fair. Obviously, she's just a one and done in this episode, and I think she's like alive, but it's not necessarily determined. Like, because like I said, like the phaser set to kill, so that like normally is a one and done. But yeah, it's not too sure in that stage. In terms of Memory Beta, again, not much on her in that sense. No, in Memory Beta, she is actually alive, which is good, I guess. So in I think 11 years after this, there was basically no traceable like proof about Scott getting her command. So essentially, it was just manipulated basically to get her into that position and then infect her with this. Fun fact, by the way, the actual species that we're talking about here were the preservers. So in beta canon, they kind of switched this kind of like supposed Borg people into the preservers, and then supposedly that's what kind of like got the likes of Twyla Scott into those commands. So they kind of like fluffed off the this kind of like this parasite story into their own novel about the preservers. So it was a bit of a mix, really. But yeah, their status is more or less unknown in a sense, but she's according to the Memory Beta, she is very much alive. So with that, then we move on to the next one, and next one is Edward Costello, who plays Gregory Quinn, the Rear Admiral.
Yeah.
So again, he's very much one of the special guests in that regard. For this one, he plenty of movies and TV films he's been in over his time. He was in this soap opera, The Secret Storm. He starred as Peter Ames in that one, and again, it was various different shows and episodes. Again, did a lot of work with Christopher Plummer as well, which has kind of been like a running theme for some of the special guests on these shows. But very much like various different types of TV credits over the years. He retired from acting shortly after this in 1999, and he died of a stroke in 2009 when he was a tender age of 89 years old. So a good innings from there. Again, Gregory Quinn, not much of a. He's obviously appeared in like 2 episodes overall. He was in Coming of Age, where started off this story arc, if you like, and then obviously was in this one. He does make a full recovery in this episode, excitingly enough. Fun fact, actually, he was this is a bit weird, right? He's listed as a casualty of the Dominion War in one of the books, right? But he was also mentioned to be retired 5 years later. So he's either died in combat during the Dominion War, or he survived and retired. So depending on which novel you believe,
it all depends on which one you. Yeah, it's kind of which one do you want to be true? Do you want him to have died during the Dominion War, or do you want him to have retired to
pastures new, let's say.
Yes, exactly.
Supposedly he did actually like I think there was like a DC comic of the Next Generation called War and Madness, and he appears in that as well. So he does make a couple of appearances here or there, and in beta canon he gets a lot more of material, I suppose. So again, he's kind of the same thing where like a lot of stuff with Picard. I think he's just even trying to skim through some of the stuff here. So in beta canon, he didn't die, basically. It was like a report where he was killed off by the Breen. But then there's also another one that says he retired from active service and written a memoir and so forth like that. But in terms of like Star Trek canon, he's always been an admiral. There's never been like proof of him being a captain or anything like that. And just various different novels where he just appears as almost cameos in a sense, really. But he certainly makes his appearance. That's fair to say. Next, again, one and done was Robert Shenakin, who played Dexter Remick. I didn't realize his first name was Dexter, but there you go. So again, he only appears really as in those 2 episodes I mentioned, Coming of Age and Conspiracy, but he's also in like uses cameos for some of the second season episodes. You know, the one where they did the clip show for Riker and shit like that. So
Yeah.
he gets in there. So in terms of like actually Shenikin himself, he's actually quite an interesting fellow because he actually received a Pulitzer Prize for drama for his series of one-act plays titled The Kentucky Cycle. And he also received a Tony Award nomination for the same work. So he's actually more of a screenwriter than an actor, truth be told. So like I said, I mentioned about the Kentucky Cycle. He's also done a few different plays, including Heaven on Earth, By the Waters of Babylon, Lewis and Clark Reach the Euphrates, and various other ones as well. He also co-wrote the screenplay for The Quiet American, and he wrote the TV version of Spartacus, which was one of his works as well. And he wrote the miniseries The Andromeda Strain in 2008. So again, he has a lot of writing credits to his name.
Jesus, he really does. Wow.
He's a busy
I wasn't
boy.
expecting that. Like,
Yeah. And he even has his own website to that point. But he's done a playwright. He's done the stage production of All the Way, which is about Lyndon Johnson. It's just he's a busy man outside of acting, to be fair. If anything, like this is one of his few acting roles, in fairness. He does play Alexander Hamilton in the miniseries George Washington. I think it was just from CBS. So got there before before he got famous.
I was about to say he got there before Lin-Manuel Miranda, wasn't it?
Yes, indeed. Funny enough, actually, him and Jonathan Frakes appeared in Nutcracker, Money, Madness and Murder. So a lot of Star Trek links in between for these people. But yeah, like I said, Remick was very much like your typical heel is probably the best way I could describe it. It's someone that people can like cheer and whoop when they get destroyed, and he certainly fucking did, to be fair. He really did.
Now, would you say that was the worst death in Star Trek?
It's up there, isn't it?
Plenty of people have been blown up, but that's because the ships have been blown up. You know, like I always like was it General Chang? Was it Chang?
Oh yes, that's a
thing
good
on.
one.
When he's like to be or not to be, and then the bridge explodes around him. And I always thought that was a great visual.
Yes.
But in terms of
that was a death in style. Like that was a stylish death, you know.
Yeah.
With Remick, he got blown to fucking smithereens.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Like you look at let me see. You look at, say, Wei Yun when he first dies, because he dies so many fucking times.
Yeah.
When he first dies, he just gets vaporized, and I'm like, it's close, but I definitely think Remick. No, that's probably the worst.
I remember there's one Klingon that really eats shit. I think in this third or fourth movie, where he literally gets blasted by his commanding officer, and he just slowly dissolves. Like he's actually like writhing in pain as a thing goes off. So it's like, oh, you really pissed him off for him to go for the slow burn kill. You know?
Yeah.
But yeah, in terms of Memory Beta, not pretty much the same in terms of Remick, but the actual creatures, again, I mentioned the preservers and that kind of storyline as well. The actual creature that was in his body is called a spawn mother, and that kind of gets fleshed out a bit in one of the novels as well. In fact, there's actually two hosts floating around. Remick is one of them. Another one was Shakar Eden, which was there you go. Shakar Eden was actually one of the spawn mothers as well in one of the novels.
Shakar,
yeah.
As in Bajoran Shakar.
Yeah.
As in First Minister Shakar of
Bajor. Yes.
And he was one as well.
He was used initially to get the spawn mother in the Bajor attack of 2376. This is in the novel Unity. Initially used Shakar to get the Bajor. Later left him before his assassination so he could grow large enough for a mass spawning. So this is after the Remick one. So there was two of these creatures floating around, and essentially it worked by telepathy, in terms of like commanding the little minions as it were. And again, there's not much else to them, to be honest. Like there's not a lot of information on them really, because like I said, it just got the whole kind of storyline got dropped like a bad habit pretty much. So there you go. Now we get to the repeat offenders. Do we have? No, we have one more. Sorry, and that's Jonathan Farwell, who played Walker Keel. Still alive. He's at a tender age of 89 at the moment. Again, a few kind of like TV credits. I think he made his debut in George Washington II. He was in Frankenstein's General Hospital, The Haunting Morella. He does a lot of those kind of shows, I suppose. Again, not very much a guest actor in that sense, but in terms of Walker Keel character, not majorly much about him. Obviously, we mentioned about he's kind of the trifecta of like cool captains like Jack Crusher and Picard and himself. And his story gets a little bit played out in beta canon. He was an instructor at Starfleet Academy for a spell. He used to do like kind of cadet training exercises. And fun fact, actually, did you know what Beverly Crusher's maiden name is?
No,
that's a trivial one. It's Beverly Howard. Howard, yeah, there you go. So then obviously they introduced her to Jack Crusher. So in terms of actually what Keel does elsewhere, he was actually assigned to patrol the Zenketti border. So obviously the Zenketti War is a lot more in the beta canon as opposed to the main canon. And he's kind of commanded the ratio for quite some time at that point. Essentially he wanted Crusher to be his chief medical officer, which is what happened. So Crusher actually was on the ratio before going to the Enterprise, according to beta canon. And then we had the stuff then with conspiracy and so forth. And essentially, yeah, he does die off officially. The ratio was lost in this episode. So hard luck, Walker, unfortunately. That's one way of looking at it. Now we get to the interesting parts. We have 3 repeat guest stars from this episode. So the first one I'm going to give you, Jerry, and this one is Henry Darrow. So I'll start you off by saying that he is first Rear Admiral Savar. But where else does he appear?
Was he in Enterprise?
He was not in Enterprise. No. How many roles do you think he's had?
I'm going to say 2.
And you'll be right. He has had 2.
Okay.
I will narrow it down.
Go on.
Yeah. If I said he was in Voyager, would that ring a bell?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know why.
He's appeared in 2 episodes of Voyager as Kolopak. You know who Kolopak is? That's Chakotay's dad.
Oh, Chakotay's dad. Yeah.
Yes. So he's Chakotay's dad in Voyager. So he appears in a couple of episodes there. In terms of his other kind of like roles, he was Montalito Montoya in the Western series, The High Chaparral. So that's how he got his game. And he's done a few kind of science fiction roles as well. But in terms of Star Trek, he is Savara and Chakotay's dad. So there's a nice little trivia for you there. Next up then is Ray Reinhardt, who plays Vice Admiral Aaron. Now, again, how many roles do you think he's had in Star Trek?
I'm going to say 2 for him as well.
And you'll be right. Okay. He is also in Voyager. Now, this one is very much a stretch, but this is a first season episode, ex post facto, and he plays the Professor Tolan Wren, who was a Banian physicist, essentially. And he's basically there to help repair the damaged part of Voyager, essentially. And it's more or less a cameo by all accounts, but he certainly does appear in it. He's also still alive as well, in fact. He is 91 years old, would you believe?
Jeez.
Ray Reinhardt, yeah. So, yeah, fair play to him on that. And the last one we'll get to is Michael Berryman.
Then I'm assuming this is the guy that we said that was.
This is Captain Ricks, yeah.
Okay, and he's multiple episodes.
He has been in multiple Star Treks, yes. How many roles?
I'm going to go out on a limb. I'm going to say 4.
4. No, you've had a good run with 2, and you should have stuck with it.
Should have stayed with 2.
Should have stayed with 2, yeah. So obviously he's Captain Ricks in this, but in fact he is. Now this is a bit of a cheat because he's not in any of the TV shows. He's actually in Star Trek 4, The Voyage Home. So there is you recall when like the whale beacon comes in, and there's like a few people at like Starfleet Command.
Oh yeah.
He's one of them. He's kind of the guy with the massive like kind of like forehead and prosthetics in his stuff. And again,
that's a cheat. That's a cheat.
Yeah, it is a bit of a cheat. So I won't take you.
You've changed your name to Jimmy Morris there for some reason.
I'll tell you, yeah, fucking awful. So Michael Berryman, a very interesting man by his own rights. Again, he's 73 years old, still alive. He has a medical condition called hyperhidrotic ectodermal dysplasia, right? Which, in layman's terms, means he can't form hair, fingernails, teeth, or sweat glands. So
he has no teeth or nails.
Yes, it prevents it. Look, so he'll have like implants for that, and he can't sweat either.
I wouldn't mind that part.
Yeah, well, I suppose it kind of fucks up your like biology in a sense where you're constantly fucking hot or cold. But yeah, I wouldn't know. It's a rare condition, completely inheritable, and incurable. There's no cure to the disease. It's a purely genetic disorder. But in terms of like his actual acting roles, he's been in a lot, and he plays a lot of monsters. He's Pluto in The Hills Have Eyes, the Wes Craven movie,
which I do not like that movie.
Yeah, and he's also in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
Oh God, what a film!
Yeah, so
I'd say he has some credits.
He does, in fairness, and like I said, unfortunately, he is a bit typecasted in that sense. But he plays the roles exceptionally well. Like, there's a reason why he gets them. So yes, obviously he's a Hills of Eyes. He's Ellis in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. That's the character he plays. He's also in a various different movies like Deadly Blessing, My Science Project, Weird Science, Beastmaster, and Double Dragon. Funny enough. So there you go. And The Devil's Reject. So he's in a couple. You mentioned X-Files. He is in the episode Revelations. And fun fact as well. Did you know he's also in the rock video for Motley Crue? Smoking in the Boys' Room, he plays the principal in that video. So there you go, he gets around.
He really does, God bless him, doesn't he?
Yeah, fair play. So there you go. That's again a very healthy episode when it came to the guest stars, 7 of them this week. So not bad going at all. But we get to the exciting part now, Jerry. We get the exciting part where we decide how to judge this episode. So fair to say it's gonna need to do a lot to beat The Skin of Evil, which was a very strong showing altogether. But we'll start off as we always do with the plot. So I like the plot of this episode personally.
Yes.
I think it's a very strong start. It's a sort of episodes that it's a sort of plot that season 1 wasn't ready for, if that makes sense. You know, they weren't ready to handle something as potentially good as this, but I think it's still a good innings overall, especially considering that, like, this is, as I mentioned earlier, it's a B story now becoming an A story. So they already have a good, like, launch pad to make this a good episode. And for that, it kind of makes it more memorable. So I'm willing to rank this quite high, like maybe an 8 or an 8.5.
I was going to go a 9.
Ooh.
So I'll meet you in the middle there and go 8.5.
8.5, okay, interesting.
I think it's fantastic though, because it's so left of field for Star Trek, because Star Trek is supposed to be basically goody two shoes. They're supposed to be like the conscience of the galaxy, as it were. Like, you know, they and for them to be doing this, literally murdering captains, you're like, what's going on here? So I thought the plot of this was fantastic. So absolutely give it a high. So I'd say meet you in the middle there, 8.5. Absolutely
8.5, yeah. No, I'm happy with that then. 8.5 it is. Next up then is the setting. So there was a couple of new sets here, particularly was Italics B was one we gave good plaudits for. Then we had Starfleet Command, which I think we would have seen for the first time in terms of Next Generation.
In terms of Next Gen, yes. We saw the outside before, obviously in the movies, and then you would have seen the inside. It would have been very different. This was a much smaller, scaled back version. Obviously, they had budget constraints. I get that. So Starfleet Command itself was only okay. I thought the new planet set was fantastic. I thought
Yeah,
that
it
was,
looked really well.
really good,
Yeah.
really, really nicely set. Really set the stage for the meeting, and the fact that they come out with all guns blazing, basically, to like, okay, Picard, I'm going to ask you a load of questions now. No, I thought that was very good. In terms of scoring, I'll go 7.
I'm happy with. I was thinking 7 myself.
I'll go 7.
Because I wanted to also kind of acknowledge Remic's room as well, where he kind of turns around in the chair.
Yeah.
And the map there, that's a great visual as well.
What I actually, I didn't mention it there while we were watching it, but I and I might be wrong by this, but I'm fairly sure that seat that he's in is the same, maybe not the exact same seat, but it's the same design as Captain Pike's wheelchair.
It looked very familiar, yeah.
It was very like it.
Very much like it. Yeah, to be fair, it would make sense if it was a repaint, because all you have to do is like flip it to the back. Like he'd be standing out in the front of it and then be on the back of it is there. Like it's a good thing you probably didn't see much of the back, because you probably see the 2 little dials like boop boop. So yeah, that's fair enough. I'm happy with the 7 on that. Next up then is the writing. So again, how this episode played out and how it was kind of like bubbled underneath. Again, a lot of positives in this one. Like this one kind of did hit all of its points. There's no meandering, there's no drifting, no B story, no C story. This was just a like, here's the story we want to do, and it hit almost to the points. I can't see many flaws with it. If anything, like it actually hit its twists extremely well. Yeah. In a sense where like at the start you're thinking, oh, maybe this is just like 3 captains being paranoid. Then the ratio is blown up. Then you see Admiral Quinn acting weird, being a completely different character to how you've seen him in the previous episode as well. Yeah. So I think I'm gonna rank it high for that purpose as well. I'm thinking 8 or 9 for writing. I think they hit all the points they needed to in this one.
Yeah, I agree with you there. I have to say, from kind of start to finish, it was quite good. There was a lot of twists and turns in it, which I really liked. I did like that. What'd you say? 8 to 9?
8 to 9. I'm swaying more to 8 than 9.
I'll go with 8. I'll do 8 with you. Yeah.
Right. Next up then is the acting. So, I value your thoughts on this, but I wasn't like, there wasn't any massive acting masterpieces. But for this type of episode, you didn't need them. Like this was an episode of subtlety. You know, rather than
for me, Patrick Stewart. So it's always an acting masterclass, no matter what he does. To be perfectly honest, but for me, it was no standout ones here. Like it was the crazy eyes by Captain Walker?
What, Keel? Yeah,
it's crazy eyes. Crazy eyes by him. No, nothing major in terms of acting here. Especially the fact that when it came to the stunt doubles, it was so obvious.
Yeah,
it wasn't even a little bit. Yeah, it wasn't even a little bit. But I'd be inclined to go 6.
I'm thinking 6 as well. Like there wasn't anything good, there wasn't anything bad. It was just middle of the road. Solid.
We'll leave it at 6 then.
Yeah. Now, speaking of mixed bag, the action sections. Again, some really good ones and some really bad ones. I did not remember the Admiral Quinn sections being so shit.
No, it's when you actually see, when you just watch an episode, you just watch it for the enjoyment of it, and so you don't really notice these things. But when you're reviewing it like this, you're like, oh shit, oh that's terrible. That doesn't even look like him. Clearly, the stunt double is at least 40 years younger than the guy. And you're like, it's terrible. Especially the Riker one.
Oh, Riker one was awful.
The Riker one didn't even look anything like him. Not even a little bit.
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
Yeah.
But saying that, the action sequences were good.
Yes, I think the shootouts in Starfleet Command were very good. Remick getting blasted the fuck. I think we'll probably throw him into the effects category more so. Mm-hmm. But the shootout with one of the vice admirals, the actual shootout in the dinner hall as well was quite good as well. So again, I'm going to give it the rough of the smooth here. So I'm thinking a 6 to a 7 on that? What would you say?
I will go with 7 on that. I don't want to mark it too low just because the stunt doubles were very visible, but I thought it was good. The running sequence, that Admiral can fucking run, I can tell you.
Yeah, he can bomb it down.
Fly along. But no, yeah, I'll go with a 7.
Okay. So about effects then. So again, we mentioned a bit about how we're kind of like transferring some points over with the Remick scene over to the effects department. They had a fucking field day with this one, it's fair to say.
No, absolutely. A lot of their budget obviously went on the effects. Now, we're not talking about the actual body being blown up and then the head blowing up and then the body kind of opening up to reveal this alien. That's where the majority of the money went. It certainly didn't go on stop motion.
No, we will be docking points for that stop motion.
You better fucking believe we will.
And for the creature as well, because it was close up, you could see how plasticky it was. You know,
I'm not going to mark that too. I'm not going to mark that down too much, simply because I thought the visual of it was good.
Oh, the visual was good. Yeah,
I thought it was fantastic. I did like the head explosion.
Yeah.
I did like that. Like, I remember watching that as a kid. It was the censored version, and all you got was Riker and Picard shooting, and it go and shooting him, and then it turns away. You hear but you don't see it, and you're like, oh my god, they killed him. But obviously, with this prime time television, it was before the watershed. You weren't allowed to see stuff like that. What are you thinking in terms of scoring on this one? This is.
I am docking points for the stop motion and how bad that looked, but there are still some very good points in there. Like actually, I'm docking points as well for the Horatio as well, and how that was blown up. Where
that wasn't very good. That was
like paper mache. It's just like, well, fuck that then, you know.
Yeah.
Because we've seen like shit destructions before this and after this, where like you'll see like the saucer is retained, or like the star drive is retained in some way.
A bit of the hull or in a cell or something.
Yeah.
This was just random. It was literally metal paper. That's all it was. It was like, what the hell is this?
Now they do rationalize it by saying it's an implosion, but even an implosion will leave some form of impact, you know, kind of way. There'd be more debris as opposed to just like, as I say, like paper just floating around. So I'm not going to point to that, but in terms of the effects of the actual, like, again, the Remick like explosion, this neck swelling, I thought was a great visual, because like there's a bit of camera trickery you have to do to make that work, and it looks so well. So rough with the smooth, again, I want to give it a 7 or 8 on that.
I'll go 7.5. I won't go any higher than that.
Yeah. Okay. Now I'm going to the point now where I think perhaps the strongest point of this episode is the score.
Now this you can't deny any part of this episode was bad in terms of the score, because it leads you. Especially the music right at the very start when Picard is talking to the other captain on the secure channel. It's sinisterish behind him. The music, it's
quiet as well. It's just like
exactly, and then near the end of that scene, it builds and builds and builds, and you're like, oh, this is going to be good. Then, as I said to you, when we see Admiral Quinn with that with the little creature, it's like ooh. And I said they took inspiration for the Emperor's throne room in that one, because that's the type of, it's like ooh, like that kind of tone throughout. That was a fantastic. This is going to be high for me. It's very difficult to give something a 10. I'm not going to give it a 10, but I am going to give it a 9.
Yeah, I was going to go 9.5. So
I tell you what, I'll go 9.5, which I can't give it a 10 because it's not perfect. But it's very, very close. So I'll go 9.5. I think that maybe, have we scored any 10 so far?
We have a 10 for Skin of Evil in one of the categories. Okay. So yeah, we have had a 10 before. But no, like as we were saying about the score, we've said it countless times now on the show, but like it can often give or take away to a scene. This is one where it gives fucking gives.
Absolutely, yeah. 100% gives to it. A piece of music can make or break a scene, a series, a movie. It can make or break anything. If you don't have the right music, it's going to be it could be the best episode in the world, but if it's got bad music, it will seem like it's a bad episode.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. So hence why we're giving it such a high score. We're nearly there now. So scene, next one. So again, picking out a kind of a particular scene that we liked from this episode and kind of like, as it were, dissecting it. So, I mean, the Remick reveal is probably that, although the actual, like, the dinner table, I think, is probably the best one, where, like, that's where you know for sure, oh, everyone's compromised.
Yeah.
And it's the worms, it's the maggots.
I did like that, the fact that they're all sitting down and they open the pots and it's literally all these tube grubs, these horrible little things.
And they're just so excited to get stuck in. It's like,
yeah.
You know, yeah.
Like the look on their face, looking at Picard, like,
and then the
like,
the
oh,
sound
you
of it,
dirty bastards. Yeah, I'd go with that one. Yeah, it's a good scene.
And then
great.
the actual needle bond italic speed is a pretty good scene as well.
That's a good one as well.
Just
Yeah,
to set the table, you know.
yeah.
So.
I thought the dinner scene, we'll say, it's the visuals. Obviously, they're not actually eating the tube grubs, but because the camera is at a nice distance away, you think, Jesus Christ, look at them eating. That's disgusting. Clearly, they're just eating like really thick noodles that have been cut up.
Yeah.
But it is that time. It kind of brings you to the likes of, you know, I'm a Celebrity, get me out of here, when they're actually eating these things, and it's absolutely disgusting. Whereas these lads are just like,
and like I said, it's just the noise of it as well. It's the feralness of how they're eating.
Yeah. Even to the point though, when like you're willing Riker not to eat them, he picks them up and he picks up real ones and he goes, shoots them. You're like, oh, thank fucking God for that. Like, I thought, I'm gonna kind of mark that kind of medium to high. I'm gonna go 8.
Yeah, I'll go 8 with you. I'll match that. So then we go to the last two categories. Now these are going to be interesting choices, in my opinion. Character is the first one. So again, this one is kind of going to anyone who we think has got a bit of development or change in whatsoever. Not the episode for that, to be fair. This is a bit of an action run comparatively. I can give a point to Data for getting overexcited.
Yeah, I was going to say that the fact that he had the little conversation, with the computer. He realized he was talking to himself, and you were like, "Oh my God, I do that now? I'm talking to myself. Wow, okay, woohoo!" I'd give a little bit as well to Worf, because he gets down. He's like, he's helping Riker, and then, come on, Klingon, come on, bitch. You're like, let's go, and he's like. Like, yeah, there's the real feral Klingon coming out in you now. Go on, you fire your dick torpedoes on him. That's what you do. You know, you're 2 dick torpedoes.
Yes.
I kind of give a point to Worf. I give a point to Data. If it was anyone's episode, it was obviously Picard's episode.
Yeah, but in fairness, they didn't make much of him and Walker Keel. I found, in a sense where like these are supposed to be like 2 best mates, 2 good friends,
two best
along with
mates.
Jack Crusher, you know.
Yeah, but then they got like a whole 5 minutes in total on screen together, and then he's dead.
Yeah.
So it wouldn't exactly. Exactly. Yeah, exactly. It wouldn't be a very high. I'd go 5 or 6.
I was thinking 6, just for the Data point.
I'll go with 6 for you, just simply because of Data's little bit of continuity with him. You're like, oh, he's after doing something new. Oh, and he's so surprised when he does it. Like he's like, and then the tiny little smile. I love the
getting sassed out of it by the computer. I think is a new level for Data. So now, the last category to go to is consequences. So I have thoughts on this, Jerry. I think this deserves to be a very, very low score, because what a wasted opportunity this episode is in the long run. Like you had a ready-made story arc to go about body snatchers and creatures and whatever way you want to go with it, and it was not taken at any point. Again, elements of the story was redrafted into the Borg and then later the Changelings and stuff like that in DS9, but you could have had a chance to do this straight away, rocket into season 2 of the Next Generation and start doing it. But again, wasn't the type of Star Trek they were doing at the time. It was always an Alien of the Week type episodes. So this was a bit of a rarity. If anything, it was a bit of a fuck you to networks to go like, no, fuck you, we can do episodes like this. I dare you to get us banned. Oh, you did? Okay, we won't do it again. I'm sorry. So I feel like the consequences of this should be very, very low, because it's not necessarily the consequences of this episode, it's the wasted opportunity it presented. That there was no follow-up to this. There was no arc or story or build-up to this. It literally just ended up being a damn squib. The transmission didn't end up going anywhere that we know of,
Okay, I'm going to agree with you on those points, but the fact, though, that the idea for what is probably the best villains in Star Trek came from this, I'm not gonna go like a 2 or a 3. That's no. The fact that the original idea was to introduce the Borg with these species and something different, but then that evolved into the Borg. You're like, as much as I love like the Klingons, the Romulans, the Dominion, the Cardassians being villains, there's just no better villains in Star Trek other than the Borg, because they're remorseless, they're uncaring, they don't care, they just want to either assimilate or destroy, one or the other, and they don't care which. And the fact that the reason we got the Borg was because of this episode. It would be very interesting to see how it would have gone had they gone with the original idea of these creatures being what the Borg is. We wouldn't have got the Borg as they are now. It probably wouldn't have worked out as well. And at that point, it probably would have been very throwaway. So then you've got whole chunks of Next Generation. You haven't got that development of, and especially that episode of after Best of Both Worlds, when Picard is home, and you don't get that character development from him. You don't get that without the Borg. You don't get all the Janeway and the 7 and 9 stuff without the Borg. You don't get, which for me is probably the best Next Generation movie, which is First Contact. You don't get that without the Borg. You don't get Captain Sisko in the way that he is without the Borg.
Eventual Sisko,
you don't get all of that without the Borg, and we don't get the Borg without Conspiracy. So I'm not going to go too low. I'm going to go 5.
5. I like your argument. I like how you reasoned. I am going to go 6.
We meet in the middle. We go 5.5.
5.5, right? So interesting times, because obviously it has not challenged Skin of Evil as our top episode yet, and I don't think it will in terms of season 1. However, would you believe, Jerry, it is joint second with The Battle.
Wow.
They both rank 73 out of 100. So we haven't had a draw yet.
Score. It's quite a good score. Yeah, it's quite a good score. I'm happy with that. Are you happy with that?
I think I'm happy with that. Yeah,
I think so. I like that. I think
we have to have a Stewart's inquiry over which episode was better, The Battle or Conspiracy. Like which two? That's down to personal preference now at this stage, isn't it?
Personally, for me, if we thought that those 2 episodes would stay in second place, then I'd say we'd have the Stewart's inquiry. But there's not a chance in hell they're staying in second place. No fucking way. Not with some of the episodes that are coming up, especially in this mini series of conspiracy episodes.
Yes, let's talk about that to get our audience in the mood. So again, we've done a little lap of season 1, as was the intention, and once we kind of got this show on the road, and kind of like, so you guys will know where we're going with this type of podcast, whatever you want to call it. Now we have our kind of like our groundwork done. We have an example of like the Skin of Evil as one of our top tier preferred episodes. We have some nice solid B like episodes, like your Conspiracies and The Battles, and then you had like also there's like Arsenal of Freedom. Now it's time to start hitting some high notes. So we were talking earlier on about like kind of doing like episodes of a reoccurring theme to kind of keep the mood going and so forth. And seeing that we were on an episode called Conspiracy, we're going to do some conspiracy episodes of Star Trek. But we're not sticking with the Next Generation. In fact, this is the last of the Next Generation we're going to be doing for the next while, next couple of episodes. So the first one we're doing, Jerry, do you want to tell it? We take turns in terms of what episodes we're going to share out?
I will absolutely do that, but I've forgotten the order.
It was the one you suggested for Voyager.
Okay. So the next episode we're going to be watching is going to be the Voyager conspiracy. Now, because it's the conspiracy episode of Voyager, it's the main conspiracy episode of Voyager, in our opinion. I will say, it. I'm not going to go into too many details. If you're a Star Trek fan, you've watched Voyager and you know what the Voyager conspiracy is. It is a very 7 of 9 centric episode.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say too much about it. But fantastic episode and it's a fantastic 7 of 9 episode. It really helps develop her character a little bit more. What's next on the list there, Jonathan?
The next on the list then is going to be our entry from Star Trek Enterprise. Because, well, granted, it was a long road getting from there to here, but it only took us 6 episodes to get to on this podcast. So we're going to do the Andorian Incident. Which I believe
very
is
first introduction of
Yes.
Jeffrey Combs. It's Jeffrey Combs, isn't it?
It is, yes.
Jeffrey
In
Combs,
one of his various roles.
In Enterprise, his first role in Enterprise, and what a fucking character he's going to introduce us to. Wow.
When we get to that episode, we're going to have to debate Wei-Yun or Shran as the best Combs role. It's a tough call, isn't it?
Oh, don't make me do it.
Oh, it's a tough call.
Oh no, don't make me do it.
Isn't it tough? But yeah, so that's the next protocol is the Andorian Incident. Because again, it is an actual genuine conspiracy. As is an entry from the original series. And yes, it is not like Kirk conspiring to shag someone. No, it is in fact the Enterprise incident.
So we've got 2 incidents there now.
We do, yeah. We're transitioning from conspiracy to incidents.
These are going to be difficult ones in terms of scoring because these are kind of high grade episodes, especially Andorian Incident. I think high episode. Enterprise Incident, probably one of the best episodes of the original series. So that's going to be
one where the actual
player,
writing is really good and intentionally good as well, not like by fucking accident,
Exactly, yeah.
So they intended this to be good.
Yeah, but then of course our last
main event
the main event and conspiracy episodes, and this could throw everything off. Just could throw everything out. Everything goes out the window with this episode. And it's a Deep Space Nine episode, and it is probably one of, if not the best episodes of Star Trek. And we're not talking about just Deep Space Nine. Just one of, if not the best episode of Star Trek.
Yeah.
And that, of course, is In the Pale Moonlight. An episode that you thought you'd never get, because we're humans in the 24th century are supposed to be more evolved. They're supposed to better themselves. And you see the exact opposite in this episode. And again, what I said to you there a few minutes ago, you don't get Deep Space Nine and the current Captain Sisko without the Borg. You don't get this episode without the Borg.
Yes.
Now, there's nothing to do with the Borg, but you don't get you don't get Captain Sisko without the Borg, and you don't get this Captain Sisko without the Borg. And
you don't get this level of desperation from Starfleet because they know there are so many fucking threats out there. So they have to abandon their morals ever so slightly. And Sisko was the kind of the figure point of that.
Yeah, and this episode has everyone has like their favorite characters. This episode has 2 of my top 5 characters in all of Star Trek.
Yeah.
And that is Captain Sisko and Garak.
Happy Garak and his happy eyes.
Jesus Christ, I love Garak. I love all the different the conversation he has with Dr. Bashir.
Yes.
So what was the truth and what was the lies? Oh, they were
all true.
They were all true. What about the lies? Especially the lies. I'm like, oh, okay. And I love the fact that people have changed that now to different things, the different memes that are making on Facebook. Absolutely love it. Garak is just, he's up there. I think it's funny that my top 5 characters in Star Trek, and 3 of them are Deep Space Nine.
Yeah, it's funny how it works, isn't it?
Right over Deep Space Nine. You've got Cisco.
Yeah.
You've got Garrick, and you've got Martok.
Oh, yeah. I would have guessed Martok. In fairness. Yeah, interesting. Like I said, we are ending very much on a high there. Like we're not, like I said, we're not trying to like get to the top tiers immediately. We're trying to kind of doing these little kind of like loops to kind of get ourselves into a top tier one, which is why we're kind of doing it this way. Because I think it's nice. It's nice that we kind of ease into it, and we're getting a nice little kind of like a taste of everything in terms of all the kind of treks as well. I don't know, maybe Discovery might get there eventually, like in the next while, for 40 episodes maybe. But 50, 60, 70, fuck it, who knows? Depends on what themes you go for. But either way, then that is Conspiracy in the Bags. And again, I hope you love conspiracies, lads, because the Earth is ever getting flatter on this show for the next couple of weeks. So, Jerry, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much.
We'll see you, and we'll see you on the next Best of All Worlds. But until then,
live long and prosper, anybody. See you later.
Good luck. Do Vulcans say good luck? Good luck? I don't know. Maybe they should.
Fuck them.